The queen is in the house.
Hello.
I'm your host, Katie Levine, and this is Beyond My Lens. Come with me while I reconnect with the incredible people I've photographed to share the stories behind the images you see. Because every powerful portrait starts with a powerful story. Beyond My Lens is brought to you by Narrative, the best culling and editing workflow for photographers, and my favorite way to edit. All right, so today on the podcast, we have pop princess, TikTok sensation, Grammy Award winning for the Bridgerton Musical, Forbes 30 Under 30, and most recently, alongside with Emily Bear again, you two wrote the Moana 2 soundtrack, and you're the youngest and first female composers for a Disney movie, right?
For a Disney animated film, yeah.
That's insane.
I know. I pinch myself every day.
I know. So we met in 2020, actually, because Emily Bear, crazy, used to babysit her. She lived down the block from me.
That's an insane twist.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't know who Emily Bear is, too, I mean, she's, piano prodigy, absolute genius. And you two connected, was it before the pandemic or when did you guys connect? Because it wasn't in TikTok. You were doing a project, right?
Yeah, we connected like kind of, I guess, a year or so before the pandemic hit. And we were just sort of writing together for fun. There was like a potential stage show that a friend of ours, like an acquaintance, basically, mutual acquaintance, sort of introduced us for. And the rest is kind of history. We got in a room together and like immediately clicked.
That's amazing. It's amazing that also you're still producing because a lot of times people, they'll connect on a project and then it's just one and done. But I mean, you guys
Yeah.
just keep escalating. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we found a magical partnership.
Wait, so let's take it back. So you're from the South.
Oh yeah, from Alabama.
So from Alabama, but you were born in Mississippi, is that right?
Uh-huh, but I don't tell people that.
Oh, okay. Well, it's on
But
your
it's
bio,
fine.
girl.
Oh, it's on my bio? Okay, so people know. Got it. I don't know how they got a hold of my birth certificate, but that's fine.
It's okay.
Um,
The
but yeah,
interwebs.
the interwebs, it's all the South to me. So
Yeah.
I was born in Mississippi and like went to kindergarten there, but then I moved to Alabama. And that's where like my life, my journey started.
Were you always wanting to sing and dance and perform? Was that just dreams from the beginning?
Yeah, I've always been a ham. And I saw my two older sisters perform in like Cinderella at the local theater. And I was like, this is what I want to do too. I can do that. And I can do it better.
I,
Just watch.
I love that so much. Well, and so were you just dreaming of like LA and New York, or did you feel like you could accomplish what you were doing in Alabama just to at least start off? Or were you doing acting classes there or singing classes?
Oh yeah, I did. I kind of started weirdly with, singing lessons and then gymnastics and competitive dance for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And then I found theater and I fell in love with it. Just like wanted to do all three at the same time, sing, dance, and act. And I thought I was going to go to school for that. I like went and did this pre-college program at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh and I just like fell in love with their theater program, thought that was definitely my desire, my career track. I was going to go to New York and do the whole thing and do the Broadway. But
Broadway.
the universe kind of had other plans for me, I guess. I did this scholarship program called Young Arts, and there's like a finalist week in Miami. I met this girl. This was when I was like 17, I think. Met this girl who produced her own pop music on a loop station. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And we had kind of like an impromptu songwriting session together. And I just remember the room being electric. Like the act of creating with someone else was just so fulfilling. And I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
So you love collaboration.
I love collaboration. Yeah.
That's really awesome. Well, I think because also too, some people are like, hey, I just want to be by myself and like I just only want to work alone, like a Bon Iver kind of situation, you know?
Yeah.
And then for others, like, yeah, like it seems like you and Emily really, and then other people, because you worked with Mega Trainer, right? Like
Yeah.
everything. So it just seems like, yeah, the collaboration is really key for you. But
Yeah.
so you moved to LA then, right? You were like, no, New York.
Yeah. I mean, I love to visit New York, but I think also my older sister, because I have three, but my second oldest sister moved out here like a couple years before me. And so my parents were like, okay, she'll have someone there to sort of help her, take care of her, introduce her to people. And so LA just sort of seemed like the natural next step. So yeah, I moved here when I turned 18, graduated high school a little early, like online schooled myself, and just sort of hit the ground running out here.
Were your parents, because your sisters were also involved, were they just very supportive of your career? Because it's not always the case that parents are going to be like, hey, my daughter wants to be a singer, songwriter,
I
Broadway actress.
know.
Yeah.
Unstable, instability is what the career is, but they were always very supportive, and my dad has been a musical guy for his whole life, and he was a songwriter and a musician, and probably would have done it professionally in another life had he not had four girls. So because of that, he just imparted all of his love of music and his support of us pursuing it since we were kids.
Well, I love that because my dad actually was a hobby photographer, and it's like he probably would have dreamed being a photographer, but he was a doctor. And I just think like,
Yeah.
we with the next generation, especially now being a parent, like we are going to produce the next best versions of what we love. Obviously you don't want to push what
Yeah.
you love on your children to make them do it right, but it's like if you can be an inspiration for your children and then help them really achieve that next level, I mean, that's amazing.
Yep. Yeah, that's the goal. The children are our future.
Also, yeah, Pop Princess for sure, because I know Heartbreak Cartel went completely viral, right?
Yeah, that was a crazy time.
Yeah, actually, my so one of my best friends, she was kind of helping me. She followed you since 2020 on TikTok, and she was just saying how the line "I don't need a boyfriend, but that shit's for full-time employment" really resonated. So where did that come from? Those lyrics, like, was there a specific heartbreak that inspired it, or a
Yeah.
culmination of heartbreak?
It was one big heartbreak that sort of did the job of a million tiny heartbreaks. It was kind of the first time I had experienced any sort of life moving out here, like dating someone, being love bombed by someone, like fully convinced that someone was someone else, you know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
finding out slowly but surely that they're not the person you thought they were. And that sort of shook my sense of self and like the foundation in which I had built all of my beliefs out here. And so when that kind of came crashing to the ground, I I just realized what a prize I was and that I was
Mm.
actually the one that was all that in a bag of chips, even though this boy convinced me he was all that in a bag of chips. He was not.
Well,
As
it's so
they
funny
all
because you're
do.
so talented, and like to even think for a second that some guy probably like had a string on you. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, he had me fully convinced I could never do better than him, which is like the silliest thing I've ever heard. Anyway, so after that happened, um, and I met this boy during the pandemic, he was like very much gung ho about me, of course. And I was like, ugh, but I've been through this before. And I think I was talking to one of my friends and it just sort of like fell out of my mouth. Like, I don't need a boyfriend. That's just full time employment. And I was like, I'm a poet and I didn't know it. And that rhymes. I'm going to put it in my notes app. And then when the inspiration struck to like write a bop, that lyric, I came back to that lyric and started the song with that. And then I just sort of built upon it.
well, so songwriting, it seems very just into it. Like it's, you know what I mean? Basically just how you think, right? Because I
Yeah.
remember seeing a video of you and Emily talking, and you were like, oh, that's, it was something for Bridgerton. And you were like, oh, the new device or something like that. And
Uh-huh.
you just like said it and you're like, that's the like what we're going to do. So I think it was a video of you guys actually working on TikTok. So it seems like, yeah, it just
Yeah.
comes to you and then that's what it is. Because I think songwriting, honestly, like a lot of artists can sing, but they can't write.
Yeah. And a lot of artists can write but can't sing. It's
Yeah.
like it's a blessing to be able to do both. And also, once you learn sort of like the formulas that exist, the structures of songs, the more you learn, it's like a muscle, the better you get at it. So
Well, that's kind of, I always think that with photography too. I'm like, I have the basics and I've always used to call myself the most like unprofessional professional until I actually had the foundation for things, right? And then
right.
once it's there, it's second nature. And if it's
Yeah.
intuitive, then you just go with it. But okay, so let's go back to you and me met at a photo shoot because Emily Bear was my freaking girl I used to babysit, and then she just
Uh-huh.
exploded, and then you two connected. And I remember it was you hadn't even made. I think you were actually recording the soundtrack for Bridgerton the musical at the time, and I was
Mhm.
like, I saw just like the "Alone Together" or whatever. It's just so I was so like, holy shit, this is insane. And then yeah, and
Thanks.
then you guys go on to win a Grammy. But that shoot, we ended up actually doing the single cover for "Lie to Me."
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did.
It was like we shot for like 10 seconds. Like I felt like it was, and then
Oh, I know. And that fabulous photo popped off.
yeah, in a
I
blue
mean,
fur and yeah,
yeah, the blue fur. I still have that blue fur.
I love it.
I wear it all the time. Yeah, that was like a magical day. And you also gave me headshots for like years. I used that photo forever.
That's amazing. Yeah, I saw it was on the Songwriter Hall of Fame,
Yeah,
some article for that.
insane.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad. Yeah, I was so glad to have met you because not only am I inspired by you as an artist, I just think you seems like all this, notoriety and everything hasn't changed you as a person at all. So how do you kind of balance this exploding career with, I mean, you're also super young still. You like 26 or
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, an exploding career with still staying maintaining like that Alabama girl and like knowing where your roots are coming from. So how do you maintain that?
You know, I think it's like a constant state of being humbled. Like, I'll get excited about something, but then it's like, wait a minute. You've got so much life to live. You've got so many projects to do. I think it's just like waking up every morning, doing a little journaling, like centering myself before I set out into the world. Um, just like being grateful, practicing gratitude about it. It's hard and sometimes it can feel impossible, but I don't know. I have a really, really great circle of people around me. I have an amazing family and amazing friends. And I think that's kind of the key to just like not forgetting to keep your feet on the ground, no matter how big or how explosive a career gets, like you never know when a day is your last. And I kind of think about that first and foremost, you know?
So you don't like, yeah, you're like, even if this was my last project, I'm going to be grateful for it and just live it up. And then,
Yeah. Yeah. Like
so, I mean, that
if this was my
vulnerability,
last day on earth, I'm like, I'm gonna be playing on my piano. I'm gonna be putting up a TikTok. I'm gonna make myself a dinner for one. I'm gonna call all my friends and then go to bed.
that's so beautiful. I love that.
It's
Well,
simple, the simple life.
well, because it sounds like you kind of start your day slow, but obviously end it really strong. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, my inner artist likes to work at night, unfortunately. She's a little bit of a night owl.
girl, same. Once I got
So you
domesticated,
get
that shit
it.
changed. No, I mean, I used to just edit it at
Oh, I
night and it's when I
bet.
felt most creative. But yeah, and then obviously when life changes, but I think it's, yeah, I mean, if you're creative and the night is everything.
You know, until I have kids, I'll embrace it.
Yeah, girl, you ain't gonna sleep when you have kids. But okay, so back
Oh,
about
thank you.
vulnerability, because I feel like with TikTok, you one of the first things that helped people connect with you, right, was you show every process of your writing. So you're not just like
Mhm.
putting out a finished product. And I know like a lot of people have kind of I talked about this on another podcast, but it was the dare to be great. Like they want to have such a curated Instagram or curated TikTok that they don't even show anything vulnerable or they are afraid to be real or they're afraid of like how it's going to present themselves. So how did you manage that or what made you want to start doing that?
God, I started doing it at such a young age when I didn't even realize that it was just like super vulnerable, like hyper vulnerable. I was like in my bedroom at like 13, 14, live broadcasting myself singing for like strangers on the internet. So this started like very young, just like being at a piano and taking song requests and then like writing for a group of people on a live stream and just like building an organic audience from the ground up. It just kind of became like one of the central parts of my creative process is to sort of have a peanut gallery. So
Do you
so
get
it just
feedback
sort of
from people?
followed.
Are you like taking the feedback from your audience and ever
Oh
incorporating it? Or are you
yeah.
just kind of like, hey, watch me do my thing?
Yeah, no, like having a dialogue about, what I want to be writing about, like what the actual song is, and it's like collaboration on steroids, It's like a bunch of people giving their thoughts and feelings about a piece of art. It almost feels like it's a group effort, you know what I mean? And sometimes I'll take words and ideas and concepts from people and sort of try to make something out of it, which is like also a really great practice in
That's so
songwriting.
cool.
Just, it is.
Well, because
So,
on TikTok too, that people can like, I've seen people sing with you, right? Like they match them and then
yeah.
they're like literally like with the Bridgerton stuff, like you had these male vocalists that were doing the other counterparts and it was so magical.
It was. And I could not have foreseen that happening. Like truly, that was a
You won a
fever dream of
freaking
epic
Grammy.
proportions. Like it just It's so interesting. Emily talks about this so well, but it's like really fascinating to go back and like look at the little choices that like affect the course and the trajectory of your life. And that was one of them. Just like being silly and being inspired by a TV show, running to my piano and writing something like and putting it out there kind of changed the whole game for me.
Well, there's something, the idea of like a bracket system where you, like kind of you make a choice and then two choices kind of, brack off from that. So, and then
Right.
you keep going through that. And it's like, imagine, there's a version of you that never made a TikTok musical and there's the version that did. So,
Right? Oh, it's
yeah.
insane.
Well, yeah. And
Parallel
then
universes.
exactly. But yeah. And so then how did Moana 2 come about? Like you guys have been obviously working on that for forever, but did someone find you from the TikTok musical? Is that what happened?
Yeah, we got some representation through the Unofficial Bridgerton Musical explosion of it all, which was amazing. And we signed with CAA and Craft Angle Management, who are great. And they just started setting up a bunch of general meetings for us, like production companies, Warner Brothers, Universal, Disney, just a bunch, just meeting us and getting our faces in front of people to know that we exist, kind of sharing just the very beginnings of Barlow and Bear. But we met with Tom McDougall, who runs all of music at Disney, and he said, I have a project for you, I think. Stay tuned. And that happens sometimes in general meetings, but it never really pans out or becomes anything. But luckily, this did. And like a year later, we got a call like, hey, they're making a Moana sequel. It's a TV series. Do you want to have a meeting with the creative team and sort of make your case for writing the music? And we were both like, no. Like obviously, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Dying inside. And we met with them and they were so wonderful, like really gave us the space to like make a case. And we did. We said, I think Emily was 20 at the time. Moana is 19 in this potential TV series. Like we feel like we could step into her shoes, her proverbial shoes really easily. And they gave us the job.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
literally insane. And you have a new album coming out though, don't you? On a side note, that's more pop, like popping back into pop.
Uh-huh. Yes. I'm putting out an EP at the end of the summer.
Sick.
So it'll be really fun.
How do you balance though doing all these projects for other people and then still maintaining your what you want to do for your own solo career? Like how do you even have time for that?
You'd think that I wouldn't, but it's so interesting. Everything's on different timelines. So, like, the things I'm doing with Emily are going to take 3, 4, maybe 5 years to complete. And it's a big team. So, it's sort of dependent on everybody's schedules and when we can meet up and like get work done. So, it's like we go to New York for like a week at a time every month and sort of get a chunk done and chip away at the process. And then hopefully by the end of the year, we can sort of get it on its feet in some way. But then like things like my artist project is sort of more immediate and kind of driven by me because I'm still independent. And I have the freedom to just put out music when I want to. And so in the meantime, while all of those projects are sort of cooking, I get to really focus on the day to day of my artist project, which is really great and also cathartic in a way because it took 2.5 years to finish Moana. And that was like all of my energy and time.
Yeah.
And now that I can sort of refocus and like choose the direction of myself while also knowing that all of these things are going to come with time and it'll be on a perfect timeline. I can just focus on what I can control, which is my own music.
Can I ask the theme of the new EP or album?
Yes, of course. It's called BICON, and it's 3 songs about dating men, 3 songs about dating women. And I'm also like not on the apps, so that has absolutely no presence in my dating life. And I wanted the sound of the EP to sort of emulate the 80s and the 90s when cell phones weren't even a thing. And
Yeah.
when you really just, the only choice you had was to meet someone out in the wild. So that's the vibes and I'm really proud of it. It's really fun, but also vulnerable. And there's a song on it that I wrote during the pandemic that kind of blew up on TikTok, but I left people hanging for 4 years and haven't released it yet. So that's finally going to get its flowers and yeah, some new bangers. It's going to be
That's
great.
beautiful. No, and then coming obviously into like your own sexuality and your own identities and everything like that as you've grown up. Because I mean, when Heartbreak Hotel, how were you, 19 or 20? How old were you when that came
I
out?
think I was like 20, 21,
So,
maybe.
I mean, were you like battling with that a little bit, or did you always know who you were, or was,
I mean, I've known for a long time, but it was very scary. I grew up in the
100%?
South, of course. And so I kind of visualized it in my brain as a little like cabinet, like a kitchen cabinet, a baby blue kitchen cabinet. And every time I would have a feeling, I would sort of just like stuff it in there and lock it. And then during the pandemic was really when my brain was focused on all the things I had been sort of harboring. And I finally accepted it within myself. I told my family, and they were very supportive, thank goodness. Um, and I finally was able to sort of come to terms with it. But then I met this boy, and I was like, oh, I like this boy. I also like need to write more pop songs. Yay. So, like I said, everything happens for a reason. I'm now sort of getting to explore my sexuality more than I had when I first accepted it. So,
That's amazing. Well, I mean, so in the pop world though, did you feel pressured to like only write songs about boy? Because it's like, did you feel that only songs about like two women were like, I kissed a girl and I liked it, or is that all that was going on kind of thing? Or did you feel pressured? Because I know a long time ago, when I was interning at Vogue, someone said like, somebody will watch a movie with like a gay actor being straight, but they won't watch like a, you know what I'm saying? Like they won't watch them
yeah.
being gay. And like that was always something I heard. And it was kind of like an unfortunate thing in the industry. And so did you feel
Mhm.
pressured that you only had to produce songs about men or
I think it naturally, I think I was probably just scared to write
yeah.
songs about women and sort of to like fully step into the power of speaking on it, because it's one thing to feel it, it's the other thing to be like vocal about it. And so I've finally just found the power of writing. It doesn't really matter what genre it's in. I mean, Chapel Roan kind of proved it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. There's just something. It's you can tell on the EP. There's like something that switches in my brain and my artist when I write about women. I don't know what it is, but it's a new power.
So how do you balance like did you always want to do like is it pop music first and then the theatrical stuff or like how are we balancing both worlds? Like do you feel pressured because you've been more of the like writing soundtracks for movies and Bridgerton's a musical and like do you feel more pressured or like how do you not get boxed into that world and still be able to like be
Yeah,
yourself?
exist outside of it.
Hmm.
I think I'm really lucky that the way I found my in musical theater was through the writing. Because now people know me as a songwriter first, I think. Like just see it as like an ability to create in all different genres, and being like a versatile songwriter is like a blessing and a gift and a calling almost. So I think the pressure of it really just comes with like finishing projects. Like no matter what it
Girl,
is,
yeah. That's honestly
it's
that's a
like
lot. I mean, the struggle, right? Is like you can work on tons of things, but the end product is getting it actually out there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Precisely. So, there's like a pop album that I wrote while I was writing Moana, just to sort of like process that big job and that responsibility, that I never got the chance to release, that hasn't been released yet. And I think it's just like part of me that I have to be doing both at the same time in
Mm.
some way. That way I just feel like even if you try to put me in a box, it doesn't really matter because I'm working on all of it. Like, take your pick, girl. I'm gonna do it all.
That's so
So,
inspiring. Honestly, so what would you like? Do you have any advice for somebody who's a female composer or female singer, songwriter, anything that you could do? Because like it's a very male dominated industry. I feel like that way with myself too. Like I know for a fact male photographers make more money than me. Like it's just
yeah.
and
Yeah,
like yeah, and struggling to
absolutely.
know your worth and like all of these things. So is there any advice you'd give to somebody that was trying to up and come in this world?
Consistency is key. And I still am learning that and learning from that. Um, it's so hard because the music industry right now, the more I read about it, the more I hate it. And the more I realize how unfair it is and just how much like luck really is a part of the equation. You know, success is when preparation and opportunity meet, and opportunity is really that luck part. So I'd say when opportunity knocks, don't keep the door shut, open it wide, and be open to any and all changes and evolution in your process. Don't be afraid to stray from what you know and get out of your comfort zone, even if it's just like, okay, I love to collaborate, so maybe I write alone for, you know, a random weekend and just finish a demo on my own. Like that is enough to feel like I'm making progress and like I'm not staying stagnant, because I that's like the worst fear of an artist, is just to feel like, okay, and nothing I'm doing really matters. But like when you finish something and you put your stamp on it, that means everything. And you'll feel it when you get to put that song up on your artist shelf.
But we were saying about the opportunity too. Has there been like a time? Because I know, I mean, I personally like I've been in the elevator with like Milo Ventimiglia and like I totally messed it up, and like I just did not play my cards right. And if I had like just
Fair.
mentioned that I interned for Annie, because I know he really respects Annie Leibovitz, like if I just said the right elevator pitch, maybe like that opportunity would have like I could have photographed him or just because that's somebody I
Yeah.
respect, right? Like, have you ever had opportunities like that where maybe you haven't handled it the right way, and how do you handle that?
Yeah. I mean, just for an example, which is like a completely separate dream of mine, but like to be on Broadway, to do more theater projects, there was sort of like an open call for the off-Broadway Heathers musical. And I've loved Heathers ever since I was a kid. Like I would die to do that show, but I just like didn't send in a tape. And I like maybe it was because I was scared, because it is so like a separate dream and not really what I'm focused on doing right now. But I probably should have I probably should have put in a tape. Like who knows what could have happened. It's like those bracket things, you know what I mean? Like there is a version of me who maybe would have done that show if I had done it, you know, if I had done the tape. So I think it's just like, honoring when your artist is like, okay, I didn't do that. I'm focused right now. Clearly, like there was a reason why I didn't want to pivot and like, prepare for something like that. Just being patient with yourself and giving yourself grace, because yes, opportunity comes sometimes once in a lifetime and you don't want to miss those. But like with the little things that feel like maybe they're not aligning with your process, with your person at that point in time, don't be afraid to listen to yourself and to like, honor where you are, because you're right where you need to be.
Well, and how do you balance like, for example, I've been on like a family vacation and gotten a call like, hey, if you leave
Hmm.
this European trip, you'll have this opportunity to photograph this amazing people. Like, have you ever had situations like that where maybe you're spending time with family and you've had to dip for an opportunity, or like how do you balance it? Are you always like, hey, no, I'm not doing that because I'm here with my family and I'm trying to be present? Like, how do you balance that?
It's a case by case basis, you know? I had recently a family vacation that had been planned for like, months and months. And I was really excited about it. And I didn't have to like miss the whole trip, but the beginning of the trip, I had found out we were nominated for an American Music Award for Moana, and we were invited to the ceremony. And so I was like, oh, do I go? Do I not go? And at first I decided I wasn't going to go because it would give me 3 extra days with my nephews. And I was like, that's important to me. But then everyone around me, like all my friends, were like, girl, you gotta go. At least they're giving you a budget. Like, go get photographed and then go to the beach. So I was like, okay. And I
So you
gave
found
in.
balance. Yeah.
I found balance. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad I did, because it was like a very empowering carpet to walk. I was wearing like, nude undergarments and like this beautiful giving toxic Britney gown. And I was like, whoa, this is what stars wear. I'm feeling like a star. So I
You
got
are
to
a star.
feel, thank you, Queen. So I got to feel great before, I was in my bikini, which we all struggle with body image issues. So,
Well, I mean, so down that road though, have you ever questioned like self-esteem? Like, have you always been this confident queen, or like was there times in your life where, yeah,
no. I think it's so funny because a lot of my pop music that like went viral was during a time when I like the only thing I cared about was what other people thought of me and my music. I was trying so hard to please an audience of people and not really thinking about taking care of myself at all. It was like, I'll sleep when I'm dead, I'll eat when I'm dead, which is like, what? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, and I've just like learned through therapy and through years of growing and evolving that like we women, we're flowers. We need to be watered. We need to be given food. We need rest. We need sunlight. Um, and we need our other flowers that grow with us. You know what I mean? We can't isolate ourselves and only focus on, whatever dream goal you're trying to get to because it'll come in its own time. And to run your, artist into the ground and burn yourself out is like a recipe for disaster.
absolutely. No, I know. I mean, I'm curious too. Like, so you're gonna be 30 in the next couple years, right? Like, do you feel this is the era of like, what's your 20s? If you could encapsulate that, like, what would you decide, like, describe your 20s as, and what's your 30s gonna be?
I think my 20s was trial and error. And my 30s are going to be flirty and thriving.
I love it. Also, look at your Grammy just chilling back there.
Isn't she cute?
She's so cute.
My hot pink piano in all of her glory.
Oh my gosh, it's hot pink. I thought it
So
was
cute.
red.
No, hot pink. It's like those are my teeth. The keys are my teeth. The pink piano shell is my gums. That's my eye. That's my third eye up there. She's
Oh
got a
my
cowboy
gosh.
hat. The Maui hook is my ear.
Wait,
She's a
okay, so
person.
your whole style though is such a vibe. Even look at the clock back there. I mean, so
I know.
are you still styling yourself for events, or are you getting styled, or what are we doing here?
I'm styling myself as of right now. For the Moana press tour, I had a fabulous stylist. Her name is Sid. Um, and she was really great and like knew my vibe and she knows I love like fabulous sets. I love an outfit like a Polly Pocket fit that comes pre-done. I
Yeah.
don't have to figure out a top and a bottom. They go together.
Also, gag, I
So,
died at you two with the you and Emily's outfits at the UK Moana. Like I was
I know.
like
I
actually
know.
dying.
No,
Yeah.
that was insane. It's dreams, dreams. Yeah, but right now I'm just like when the moment arises for events cuz like they're now kind of few and far between as we're entering sort of a creative valley. But when they do happen like the AMAs, I just like scour the internet for things. Like I went on Revolve. Revolve's one of my favorites. And it was like the first thing that popped up and it was literally just below my budget and I was like, that's it. It's a sign.
Well, and how do you think identity with your style comes across, especially as an artist too? Like sometimes, because I feel like I'm such like a schlub sometimes, and I'm like, I really wish I could just express myself a little bit more. But I feel like you really, I mean, even with your hair, your makeup, like you really have found an identity in how to actually translate who you are as an artist on the inside, on the outside. That's at least how it comes
Thank
across to
you.
me. So, is it? I mean, were you always dressing like that, or what?
No, I think the confidence comes with time. Like, when I was a teenager, all I really wanted was like, or cared about was the audience, the fan base,
Yeah.
And I wasn't really thinking about like what I was even serving to that fan base. I was just like, I'm serving vocals and I'm serving songwriting and that's it. But the visual is a part of it, It's like a big part of it. And I've never really gotten to explore it until recently, like, talking about making a music video. I'm like filming one next week, which is exciting. It's like my first music video ever.
That's amazing.
Um, Thank you. So I'm thinking a lot more about the visual and how that sort of represents my artist. And a lot of it comes with like, the bisexual pride flag and like the colors involved in it. I love a jewel tone. I love my pinks and my purples and my blues and yeah, it's just like how do I incorporate those colors and textures into my everyday?
I mean, okay, so do you find it hard though after like that people like how do I describe this? Hard to connect with people nowadays, or are you like even your friends? So I'm sure you have friends when you're younger, right? But like Is it hard to connect with people after being like, they're like, oh, you're the TikTok girl, or oh, you're this or that? Like, is it hard to make new friends, or is it just being more particular about who you're connecting with these days?
Honestly, it's like the exact opposite. It's become so easy to connect with people. I'm a big people person and like part of it is like me going live and sharing my whole process. It's because I crave human connection. And so when girls stop, it's always girls that stop me out in public and they're like, I know, or they're like having a conversation with me in the bathroom line. And they're like, I know you from somewhere. And then all of a sudden, it's like a tiny explosion happens in their brain. And they're like, and they have a full realization of who I am right in front of me and it's like, wow, I really touched somebody's life with what we did, you know? And then it becomes just like a mutual respect and understanding between two women who like bonded over this TV show during this crazy time in our lives. And so it immediately gives us an icebreaker and then I have a new friend, you know?
I love.
Um which is just sort of like a blessing, I think, in a very like specific, isolated case for us, like for me, because I'm sure and clearly Chapel Roan has her own boundaries that she set with people, and like it's different for every artist. But for me, it's like it makes my evening, it makes my day, it makes my mornings. Any chance I get to connect with someone over my music is a blessing and a gift. And like, yes, I have experienced the other side, like kind of being used. I've experienced that, and it takes like one or two times getting used to like be like, okay, I can spot when somebody's, not really who they claim to be. Um, so honestly, I just have a good read on people now, and I can pretty much weed out the fakers.
Well,
So
I don't even know if I've ever told you this, but actually, why I left LA was because someone said, "Hey, Katie, if you don't start using people, you're never gonna get to the like height of your career that you want to be." And I was like, I think it's time to go.
oh my gosh. I mean, that is such, but it is such a fake belief that people really do like they follow it,
Well,
and they
especially in
use
LA
people.
too, they'll be like, "I have best friend for a night," and then they just try to like extort that situation and then how they can use it. Because again, for me, it's like I never wanted to use people because like even our connection, right? I'm like, you are just so talented. I just admire what you do. I love photographing you because I'm like, we have to do another shoot because I just love like
Yes.
your creativity. You know what I mean? And that's what I
Yes.
respect, not because of any clout or any like esteem. It's just that you are so talented and like I can literally recite your lyrics right now. So it's just I mean, and again, I love singing too, so it's just to hear your vocals are, yeah, so beyond inspiring. And I know tons of
You're an
little girls out
angel.
there. No, I'm just speaking truth.
Angel.
But I mean, that's the crazy thing. Like, you're literally inspiring little girls out there, right? With the Moana too. Like, what responsibility do you feel with that? Because I know, for example, like I have nieces, right? And they're just
Yeah.
screaming the Moana lyrics all the time, and they're screaming like, Frozen and stuff like that. I mean, the thing that happened with Moana too is that's living on so much more than maybe even a single. Like that's stuff that for years to come. Like my daughter's going to hear your music, and know every lyric
Yeah.
just like that. So did you feel a little responsibility with that with the young girls that you were trying to inspire, or
Oh, absolutely. I
yeah?
mean, I was consulting with my childhood self very often during that process, just sort of like doing that work. Like she was the reason that I'm capable of doing it, Like she grew up on all of those Disney films and it's part of our DNA. And like there's no words really to compute just how much pressure I felt because it really is like, my part of the job, lyric and melody with Emily, like it's very important that you say what you mean and you say it in a way that is palatable to everyone of all ages. You know what I mean? It's the ultimate masterclass in songwriting, writing for a Disney film. I can't even it coming out of my mouth sounds insane. And I have
That's
nephews and like they love Disney and it all sort of felt like cathartic and like icing and cherries and sprinkles on the cake when I was home for the holidays and they were, putting on a full performance in the living room of all the songs. That was when it felt
how
like, okay,
surreal.
we've done our jobs.
Well, because also The Rock's in it, right? And he has two young girls, right? Or two or three, right? But it's
Yeah, yeah.
to have him sing your songs and then his daughters are going to be singing their song. You know what I mean? It's pretty
I
surreal.
know. It is. There's nothing that I like it's the peak. It's the pinnacle of everything. Like I've peaked and I know that. And that's
You have not
okay. You
peaked.
know what I mean?
You have not
I
peaked.
mean, like to a degree, that is the tiniest sandbox anyone gets to play in, you know? So I just tried to be a sponge and learn as much as I possibly could about this industry, about this kind of creating, like that a project that takes a village. I had never experienced anything like that. It's always been just like me writing little pop songs in my bedroom. And then to go from that to like a full boardroom of creative people round tabling and talking and discussing and like taking apart your lyrics and your music and putting it back together again and questioning everything and trying to make the best possible outcome is like it was a college experience all of its own.
Well, have you watched The Studio on Apple TV?
No, I haven't. I need to though.
Well,
It's
it
on my
just kind of
list.
reminds me of like I mean, it's just he feels all this basically Seth Rogen is the head of a a studio and he feels all this pressure to basically please all these people and I'm sure that's the difference of producing your own album. Like no one's telling you what to do, right? But like how did
Right.
you navigate people even telling you like, okay, yep, no, those lyrics they've got to go. They're not like they're not saying they weren't appropriate, but I'm just saying like people are literally picking apart your creativity. How did you stay, not defensive or not, you know what I mean? Like or just cold.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so hard to leave your ego at the door sometimes, but that was just a must. Like going in knowing nothing they're saying is personal. It is literally all to serve the bigger picture, which is the story. And so even if I didn't agree, like I would first meet their critiques and their notes with, you got it. We'll try something new. Um, and then like, if it wasn't working or if we had gone through like 50 rewrites of one line, I was like, okay, look, I'm going to fight for what I believe is the best possible line for this. And if they still push back, then we'll concede. But it was just sort of like picking and choosing the times to stand and hold on to your guns, you know? But like I said, it was our first time doing anything like this. So it was really wonderful to have a creative team who, first of all, understood that, but also like guided us through the process with such grace. Um, I don't think I go, we couldn't have done what we did without the help of this village. So I think I looked at it as a learning experience as a whole and like never did I think, oh, this means I'm a terrible songwriter. I just, there were lots of crying hysterics on my bathroom floor when we were going through 60 rewrites of the same song, or when a song got cut. It was like, okay, we'll grieve it and we'll move on,
Well, at some point
you
you have to
know?
view it as a job, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, and that must be crazy too to get such a big project like that, but also view it as like this is how you make your money, this is your job, and this is what you're here to do.
Yeah. It felt like a higher calling. It felt like, okay, clearly I did something right and a higher power is calling me to write this because it knows I'm capable of it and I have a fantastic partner to hold a hand through it and it's just a blessing. Like I'll I will hold my breath until I get another magical experience like that, but I really doubt it'll be as magical as the first time.
And let's touch on working with Emily, because again, watching Emily from when she was literally 3 years old playing the piano, it was absolutely
Mhm.
bonkers. And then now to see, because to me, she's so technical
Mhm.
and on such a genius level. And then you were so on a genius level with your writing. Like, what's the process of working together?
It's it's really great. We have such a rapport now that we've built over the last 5 years, and I think it sort of comes where it comes, like, any idea or concept, especially if we're writing for a certain project, like, we'll sort of spitball ideas. Emily will sit down at a piano, and I will sort of sit next to her or, start singing something into my voice memo, and then we'll kinda just come up with a structure. It becomes like a big puzzle that we solve together. I think. It's almost like it was already done in the ether and we just have to like bring it down to earth and put it together. Um that's how it feels at least when we create. So honestly it's like a 50-50 partnership. We really do just like ping pong back and forth ideas, lyrics, melodies, and then we refine as we go.
Yeah, no, you guys are incredible. I can't wait to see what's next. So, yeah, we got the EP coming out. I'm sure more
Mhm.
projects are coming up that we can't know about. But is there any last bit of advice that you'd give to anybody that wants to be a songwriter?
I think it's really easy, especially, I'm speaking to young women, but also, young men, anybody who wants to be in the industry. It is very saturated and sometimes it can feel impossible and like you're shouting into the void. But it may feel like that today, but one day it could be different. And that could be can keep you going for a long time. So have faith. I know it's not something tangible or something you can hold or grasp, but if you have it in your heart, you're meant to do it and you should chase the star.
Actually,
Yeah.
I just want to ask one more thing though. Now that I think about it, what's the power of the internet? Because the thing is, I feel like you skipped a whole like way of actually being like a, like a child. To me, you could have been on Mickey Mouse Club, right? Like I could have seen you doing that, but you
Oh,
missed that whole kind of thing by just having the opportunity. Like for me, there's so many, like even sometimes I'll be, oh, I'm like, oh, here's somebody I want to work with. Oh, I found their email on Instagram and I can literally try to connect right there. So what's the power
yeah.
of the internet and how can people put it into their own hands?
I think the power of the internet is infinite for good and for evil. And I think if you want to take your, career, your music, and share it with the world, consistency is key. I think, writing consistently is key. Even if it's something that you don't want to share, it's all part of a journey that an artist goes on. And do what I did, like, expose your process, invite people into your world because people love that. Do it healthily. Don't compulsively share and don't get obsessed with the numbers. That's my biggest piece of advice because it's very easy to do. It's kind of like it was my first addiction. I have a pretty addictive personality and like sitting there refreshing my, TikTok and watching the number go up, like it's kind of like little tiny hits of heroin.
Yeah, no,
It is.
dopamine out the wazoo. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, setting boundaries with yourself, being intentional about what you post and what you don't post. Um and like have patience with it cuz it's for a long time I kind of quit posting on social media after, the rise and fall of the Unofficial Bridgerton Musical. And I had a lot of hate online and I didn't really feel like facing it. But now that I'm putting out music again, it's a necessary evil to be on the social media. You've got to, for people to listen, you got to put it out there. Who's going to
And
hear it if
how
you
do you
don't
deal with the
share?
hate too?
Well, I mean, sometimes you gotta ignore it. Like, I mean, I want to connect with the people that love my music. So I am looking at the comments and I'm responding to things because that's how you create long lasting fans and friendships online. But when you see a nasty comment or a negative comment, you can just block it or you can just roll your eyes and close the app and take a deep breath and know they don't know you. They know nothing about you. All they know is what they're seeing and what they've heard. And so that and what people think about you, none of your business, you know?
One, what I've noticed is what you put out there is not always what gets translated. So it's like,
Yeah.
so you could say, oh, hey, I'm doing this. And they'll be like, no, she said she's doing a project next year. And you're like, that's not what I said. And then it's like,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Through the
Well,
grapevine. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you're such an inspiration to everybody, especially me. I think you're an absolute star. And I'm just so honored that you took the time to talk to me today.
Thank you for having me, Katie. You're so fabulous. And the fan is mutual. Like I'm such a fan of you and your work. And I'm so excited to maybe do it again. Maybe do another shoot.
I'm coming to LA. I'm just might have to take my baby. So,
Yes, please. I'll
well,
babysit.
okay. Well, thank you so much again for your time, and we will talk again soon. Thank you for taking the time to listen to Beyond My Lens. I'm Katie Levine, and this podcast was created out of passion for sharing these stories. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and join me next time as we go beyond the lens.